Saw X, as the title suggests, is the 10th Saw movie. The long-running horror franchise debuted almost 20 years ago now, and at the time changed the genre forever, ushering in a massive wave of torture porn-styled horror movies. With this being the first mainline entry since 2017's Jigsaw, how does it compare to the rest of the franchise? Well folks, we're about to find out. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a brand new ranking for you all, as I am going to be ranking, yep, you guessed it, all 10 of the Saw movies. As always, I like to remind everyone, because some people seem to forget, that this list, as with all rankings, is 110% subjective. It is my own personal list, and that is why it is oh so important for you to leave your own ranking down in the comments below. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. If movie rankings are your thing, then I have well over 100 videos on that playlist for you to enjoy, so be sure to check that out and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 10. Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter. This movie is awful. It is so very clearly the worst of the bunch. To begin, the 3D is painfully gimmicky. The coloring is god-awful, the blood looks basically pink, the transfer to the Blu-ray from the 3D just coats the screen in all sorts of static and noise. Like, this movie is ugly. The acting is horrendous, and the movie overall just feels so cheap, and for me personally, this felt like a piss-poor ending to Hoffman's arc. The only thing that was even remotely interesting was the ending, and since it's been quite some time since this movie came out, like over a decade, I highly doubt we're gonna see a follow-up to that now. The concept actually had the potential to work too. Like, for me, it was kind of interesting, but they just majorly fumbled the ball. Number 9. Jigsaw. The only positives that I can really give this movie are the 3 minutes or so of screen time that Tobin Bell had, and the ending had a few interesting twists, even if they really didn't impact the overall story whatsoever. But the rest of the movie did absolutely nothing for me. For whatever reason, I've seen people come around to this movie more recently and kind of jump to its defense, but if you ask me, the acting was subpar, the traps were very uninteresting, and it didn't really feel like a Saw movie at all either. It just looked far too clean and lacked the signature style and overall feel that this franchise had become so well known and beloved for. Number 8. Spiral from the Book of Saw. AKA the one that Chris Rock is in, and I think he produced it and maybe also helped with the writing. Look, I'm really mixed on this one. I think that Rock's performance works really well at times, but there are other times where it just feels far too hammy. And 99% of the time, the jokes did not land. He just kept so forcefully interjecting them, and they felt way too out of place. There was also not anywhere near enough Samuel L. Jackson in here either. The traps, some of them intrigued me a little bit, but overall the traps take a major backseat here. The backstory stuff wasn't terrible actually, and some of the side characters weren't too bad either. However, I hated everything about this new killer. Everything. Number 7. Saw 5. I actually enjoyed the cat and mouse stuff in here. It was surprisingly not terrible. But pretty much the rest of the runtime is spent trying to shoehorn Hoffman into previous events, which ends up making so many things just not make any sense at all. It genuinely felt like the filmmakers wanted to make the Strom Hoffman stuff, but the studio execs were like, no, more Saw stuff. And so after the filmmakers received that note, they decided to throw in a game full of characters we do not care about whatsoever that ends up feeling so long and drawn out and completely disconnected from the rest of the movie. Some good gory fun in here as per usual, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the movie keeps cutting back to these characters and I just simply don't care. The other stuff was much better. Number 6. Saw 3. I know a lot of die-hard Saw fans are probably gonna come after me for this one, but look, I didn't love this movie. And most of that comes from the fact that I could not stand Jeff. I could not stand him. Probably my least favorite character in the entire franchise. Across all 10 movies, I think I hated this guy the most. Like, I just downright hated this man. The movie also felt disjointed and far too long. I think it's the longest Saw movie, or it's like a tie between this one and Saw X, but spoiler alert, Saw X makes much better use of its lengthy runtime. The best portions of the movie are those with Kramer, Lynn, and Amanda, and I wish we got so much more of that. Or at the very least, the movie could have gave us someone in the game to actually root for. However, I will also say that it seems like this movie might have some of the most painful traps in the entire franchise. I mean, the one where the poor guy is getting his arms and legs and then head twisted around slowly is pure nightmare fuel. Number 5. Saw 4. Some might call me crazy for this one, but for me personally, this one was a pretty big step up from Saw 3. I will say that I did not care for anything related to Rig at all. His stuff was easily the weakest in the movie for me. I just felt like the messaging gets so lost, and the reasoning for him being in the game and the lesson that he's supposed to learn just didn't work. The traps were pretty inventive this time around though, and most of the victims actually got what they deserved, especially the guy in the motel. I enjoyed the investigative stuff, and I really liked the Kramer backstory stuff. Tobin Bell is just so clearly the star of this franchise that anything to do with him, I'm going to like. The man is just great, and this was a role that he was born to play. The ending did convolute things a little bit more, but it also made me appreciate Saw 3 a touch more too. Number 4. Saw 6. I loved how the game actually felt connected to and important in the story this time. And it also didn't feel like there was quite as much backtracking or retconning either in this movie, which I also did appreciate after 4 and 5 spent so much time doing that. Once again, the John Kramer flashback stuff is great. The game, and subsequently the traps within the game, felt so gnarly in this movie. Though they have become so complex and otherworldly, it makes no sense at all. Like, they are so elaborate and out there, they've just gone way out of the realm of possibility, but I do have to say that this movie might have my favorite traps overall. And with that being said, the practical effects mixed with the character we follow having to constantly decide between one life or another actually kept me locked in and engaged throughout the entire runtime. Number 3. Saw. Again, there's a good chance that Saw fanatics might get their pitchforks and torches out and come after me for this one, but I will say that while I didn't think this one was as good as many people made it out to be, there is no denying its originality and uniqueness, especially for the time of its release. The main thing that held it back for me were the performances, because they were rough. Already knowing the ending, because it's one of the most iconic endings in horror movie history, likely did hinder my first time viewing experience a little bit. Nevertheless, it is more than worthy of its icon status and truly altered the genre back in the early 2000s. Number 2. Saw X. Shockingly, this movie has become many people's favorite in the entire franchise, and I wouldn't argue with you. It's got some devilishly sickening yet satisfying traps, a game full of people that absolutely deserve to be there. Tobin Bell gives a commanding performance and gets the full spotlight as he has deserved all along. We get the triumphant return of Amanda, and I'd say this is likely the most well thought out and executed plot of all 10 movies. My only little gripes come with the movie's ending, and that's of course because we get the now trademark Saw big final twist, and it kind of works, kind of doesn't, at least for me. I saw the twist coming from a mile away, and I just didn't find the ending to be as satisfying as I was hoping it would be. Either way, this one is a very, very close runner-up. Number 1. Saw 2. I really do feel like this one was an improvement over the original. Not a major day and night difference or anything like that, but an improvement nonetheless in my own humble opinion. I liked the game, I liked Detective Matthews. This was our first time getting to really know John Kramer. The ending is exceptional, it is gory as hell, and though there are some still painfully mediocre performances in here, I just genuinely loved this movie. As I continued watching the franchise for the first time, I just kept asking myself as I updated my ranking as I went, was it better than Saw 2? And though the answer was a very, very close, slim no for Saw X, everything else just wasn't able to surpass it for me. And so, as of today, Saw 2 is my favorite of the franchise. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. And while you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would have ranked all 10 of these Saw movies. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you. Be it rankings like this one, top 10 videos, tier videos, versus videos, I have it all and so much more, with plenty going on behind the scenes. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but trust me, big things are on the way. And there is already well over 1,000 videos currently on the channel for you to enjoy. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.